Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ifrah Noor and this is Dalsan TV, Somalia's premier station for news and updates. And here are the top stories that made our headlines for our news bulletin. Somali police force thwart suicide attack in Mogadishu. Somalia launches second phase operation against Al-Shabaab. Floods claim lives of two sisters in El Wak, Gedo region. Deadly clash between the NAB troops and Hirshabelle police in Johar. And lastly, Ugandan military tries senior officers for cowardice in Al-Shabaab attack. Glad to have you back, dear viewers, and now let's get into our full bulletin. On Friday, Somali police foiled a suicide bomber's attempt to storm a busy, bustling restaurant in Mogadishu's Holwodak district. According to the police command, security forces opened fire on the suicide bomber as he attempted to cross a checkpoint at Saitka Junction.
Somali police forces foiled a suicide bomber seeking to storm a busy, bustling restaurant in Mogadishu's Holwodak district on Friday. Security forces opened fire on the suicide bomber when he attempted to cross a checkpoint at Saitka Junction, according to the police command. A fortnight ago, on October 16, 2023, a prominent Somali TV journalist lost his life in a suicide bombing that targeted a restaurant in the capital city. Abdul Fattah Muallim Noor, known as Qais, was an esteemed journalist working for Somali cable television. The blast occurred at Blue Sky restaurant located in close proximity to the Presidential Palace and National Museum, leaving Qais dead and 4 others injured. Information Minister Daoud Awais swiftly condemned the attack, denouncing it as a cowardly terrorist suicide attack. Despite being driven out of Mogadishu and large swathes of land in central Somalia, Al-Shabaab insurgency still poses a great threat to the Somali public and its neighboring nations.
The Somali Ministry of Defense announced that the country's armed forces have begun the second phase of operations against the militant group of Al-Shabaab in the country's southwestern region. The ministry confirmed in a statement that Somali soldiers successfully took control of several villages.
The Ministry of Defense of Somalia has announced that the country's armed forces have initiated the second phase of operations against the militant group Al-Shabaab in southwestern regions of the country. In a statement, the ministry confirmed that Somali soldiers successfully took over several villages, including Dudumale, Bulakajor, Abakbede, and El Garaz in the town of Hudr. The Somali National Army's capture of these villages marks a significant milestone in the ongoing efforts to combat Al-Shabaab influence in the region. The Ministry of Defense emphasized that this operation is a decisive step toward restoring safety and security to the communities in the affected areas. According to the ministry statement, the government forces have effectively restored peace and security in the recently liberated villages, which were previously under the influence of Al-Shabaab. The militants had been using these villages as bases to launch attacks and terrorize the local population. The Somali government, in collaboration with its international partners, has been working to strengthen its security forces and enhance their capabilities to effectively counter militant groups like Al-Shabaab. The Minister of Defense urged the international community to continue supporting Somalia in its quest for peace and stability. It emphasized the importance of sustained collaboration, training, and provision of necessary resources to bolster the capabilities of the Somali National Army.
Tragedy struck the city of El Wak in the Gedo region today as two sisters were laid to rest after being killed in a devastating flood. Heavy rain fell in the area over the last few hours, causing severe flooding that claimed the lives of the young girls.
Tragedy struck the city of El Wak in Gedo region as two sisters were laid to rest today following their unfortunate demise in a devastating flood. The area has experienced heavy rainfall over the past few hours, resulting in severe flooding that claimed the lives of the young girls. The torrential rains have wreaked havoc across several towns in Gedo region, particularly El Wak, Bardere, and Luk. These downpours, known as the Delta rains, have caused widespread flooding throughout the southern Somalia. The consequences of the floods have been dire, with numerous fatalities, injuries, and damage to homes and livestock. The Gedo region, along with other areas in Somalia, has been grappling with continuous rainfall during the ongoing autumn season. While some regions are experiencing intense flooding, such as Bay and Gedo, others are at risk due to rising water levels in rivers like the Juba River. Reports indicate that Baidoa, among other cities, has suffered casualties as a result of the powerful flood triggered by heavy rainfall. Concerns are mounting for other cities, including Beledweyne, as the Shabelle River poses a potential flood threat, as predicted by agencies monitoring the impact of the rains. The FAO Swalim flood alert warns of heavy rainfall anticipated in the regions as Gedo, Bay, Bakol, and Middle Juba and Mudug. The districts of Dolo, Lugh, and Bardere in the Gedo region remain at high risk of flooding, and it's projected that the Shabelle River will cause further inundation in the city of Beledweyne within the next 2 to 3 days.
On Friday evening, troops from the NAB and the Hirshabelle police engaged in a gunfight in Johar, the capital of the Hirshabelle regional government. The conflict began when Hirshabelle police forces attacked the NAB soldiers outside the city.
A violent clash unfolded on Friday evening in Johar, the capital of Hirshabelle regional government, as troops from Danab and the Hirshabelle police engaged in a gunfight. The conflict erupted when the Hirshabelle police forces launched an attack on Danab soldiers outside the city. The skirmishes resulted in the loss of life, with one Danab soldier and a civilian reported to have been killed by the Hirshabelle police. Additionally, another soldier was injured, and there are unconfirmed reports of additional casualties among the Danab forces at the hands of the Hirshabelle police officers. The confrontation originated when the Danab forces began firing within the city of Johar. The police repeatedly demanded that the Danab cease their gunfire, as it posed a threat to the safety of the city residents. Allegedly, the Danab troops, who reside outside the city, continued to discharge their weapons within the urban area, leading to heightened anger among the police. As of now, neither the federal government nor the Hirshabelle state administration have released any official statement regarding the specifics of the military clash that unfolded in Johar, the capital of Hirshabelle. Danab, a highly trained commando force of the Somali National Army, has received a training and support from the United States government. The unit has been instrumental in conducting offensive operations against Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda-linked militant group, by swiftly reclaiming territory previously held by the insurgents.
The Ugandan military announced on Thursday that a court-martial temporarily sitting in Mogadishu, Somalia, has commanded the trial of 2 senior army officers accused of cowardice in the aftermath of the deadly attack on peacekeepers by the notorious militant group Al-Shabaab in Somalia earlier this year.
The Ugandan military announced on Thursday that a court-martial, temporarily sitting in Mogadishu, Somalia, has commenced the trial of 2 senior army officers accused of cowardice in the aftermath of the deadly attack on peacekeepers by the notorious militant group Al-Shabaab in Somalia earlier this year. The General Court-Martial, presided over by Brigadier General Robert Mugabe, is currently in session to try Major Stephen Oluka and Major Zadok Obor, both commanding officers of military bases in southwest Somalia. The charges against them include 2 counts of cowardice following the Al-Shabaab assault, which tragically resulted in the loss of 54 peacekeepers. The military's official statement, released in Kampala, the capital of Uganda, confirmed these proceedings. According to the statement, Majors Oluka and Obor allegedly failed to inspire and motivate the military officers and soldiers under their command to confront Al-Shabaab bravely during the encounter on May 26th. The court-martial aims to establish the extent of their responsibility in the face of this grave security threat. In addition to the 2 senior commanders, the trial also involves 4 non-commissioned officers who are being charged with a failure to protect war materials. This charge is in violation of the Uganda People's Defence Forces Act, as stated in the military's official communique. Traditionally conducted at Makindye, the military headquarters in the capital city of Kampala, the General Court-Martial has made the unprecedented move of holding its sessions in Somalia for a period of 2 weeks. Brigadier General Robert Mugabe, the presiding officer, emphasized the court-martial's jurisdiction. The assault that led to the loss of the peacekeepers occurred when Al-Shabaab militants overran a military base manned by a Ugandan contingent of the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia in Bula Marer town, located approximately 120 kilometers southwest of Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia. The Ugandan military, along with troops from Burundi, Djibouti, Kenya, and Ethiopia, is one of the key troops contributing countries to the ATMIS, which has been engaged in combating terrorism in Somalia.
Dear viewers, that's all we have prepared for you tonight here at our desk in Mogadishu. Glad to have you on board, and we wish you a lovely night.